What is up, everybody? I don't know how many people are going to be here. It's my first ever live stream. We got the greatest 49ers content creator, Grant Cohn. What's up, Grant?
What's up, Maz? How you doing?
Doing well. I don't know how many people are going to be here today, but we're live.
If it's just me and you, that's enough.
Yeah, it is. Grant, before we get into it, who do you got winning the Super Bowl?
The Eagles. And I say that with like a frown. Like I don't have much confidence when I picked them last time in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I like the idea of them having the formula that would beat Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know how people are picking the Eagles. I don't understand it.
I mean, number one defense, Vic Fangio, Saquon Barkley. They came close in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They beat them in the regular season last season.
Yeah.
I mean, they're better on paper than the Chiefs. It's just that the Chiefs always find a way to win by 4. I don't know.
And it's the Chiefs and the refs. So they
got
First we're going to be talking about Brock Purdy's contract. I think this is a topic everyone loves to talk about. Grant, I think you love talking about it. It's just an awesome topic. It feels like I'm back in math class because the amount of numbers I hear is 48 million, 60, 50. Grant, what do you think his contract's going to be and why? Or what do you think his contract's going to be? Like genuinely, let's do it like this, Grant.
No, I can do that.
Whatever contract, like if you were the GM, what would you offer him? But what do you think he's actually going to be offered?
Yeah, I love that. It's the two things, right? If it were me, I think a lot of people have said this too. Offer him something that's not necessarily a slap in the face, but it reflects the fact that he just went 6-9 and missed a few games. So, Hey, like, if you want a long-term contract extension coming off that stinker, then here's a 3 or 4 year deal that's very team friendly, maybe $30 million a year. And if he wants that for the security, because he hasn't made much money in his career yet, great, man. What a team guy. What a selfless throwback person you are. But if you really want to cash in and be the highest paid player in football, you're going to need to come back and play out your final year of your contract and go to the playoffs and go to the Pro Bowl. That being said, I don't think the Niners are that kind of an organization.
No.
They used to be when I was a kid. But now I could see Philly being like that. I could see Kansas City acting like that. But I think the Niners are so desperate to appear like they have everything in order and that they have a great team that they're like dying to make him the highest, kind of like the Cowboys. Hey, look, we got our team. It's so great. We're a contender because we're paying for it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really change the fact that he's still Brock Purdy and he still just won 6 games.
Well, I mean, if we like you just said, I feel like if we pay Brock Purdy $60 million, I think we're just gonna end up like the Cowboys. The Cowboys pay Dak $60 million. Then they have it like they have all their money within like 3 to 4 players. I said this last time when I was on your live. It's like they got it within Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. We're gonna have the same exact thing. We're gonna have it between Purdy, Ayuk, and Nick Bosa. So I don't know.
Williams, it's another guy making $1 billion a year.
But this is another thing. Let's say, are you a type of guy that you want to draft a quarterback this year? Are you a guy like 5th round, we draft a guy and see how he plays out? Or are you a guy like you want to get like a Joe Flacco? Because I've seen you post that. I don't want Joe Flacco.
I like Joe Flacco. And I feel like he'd be better than Brandon Allen. But if it were me, I'd be looking for like this team's Malik Willis. I don't really want a veteran who can't move. No. I think look at where the league is going. Teams are running more than ever. Teams that have a mobile quarterback have an advantage if the mobile quarterback is like functional as a passer. And I think you're seeing more and more functional mobile passers who are super mobile and like offensive structures that harness those powers. I mean, you put Malik Willis on that Packers team, all of a sudden he's completing like 75% of his throws.
He actually was good.
He did. So I would like the Niners to get someone like that. And, the Eagles were really smart. They had Carson Wentz. They were paying him a lot of money. They saw Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. No one really thought that much of Jalen Hurts after he got embarrassed in college, and they had a vision. So if the Niners were to draft a quarterback in round 2 or round 3 and someone with some real traits, I'd be intrigued. Like, don't trade up like you did for Trey Lance. That's stupid. No, but if someone that you think is really special or someone like a worthwhile project falls to you, then it's a quarterback. It's always worth it. And I don't expect them to take anyone who can move. They'll take like the second coming of CJ Beathard in round 3, but that's what I would do.
So what's your official, like, what do you think the Niners are going to give Brock Purdy? Because I don't know if you answered that. You said
no. I think they'll give him 4
60?
years, 5 years, something that's like $300 million, something that technically says he's getting $61 million, something that technically makes him the highest paid player in the league for a day at least. Yeah,
Jesse also Jesse said like he thinks the contract's going to be like 60 mil, but there's going to be incentives or so he said something like that. Like it's going to be 60 mil, but it's not going to be 60 mil. I don't know. I don't think he deserves 60 mil
well,
after
it'll
that
be like
season.
it'll be like a 5-year deal, and like the final year of the deal will have no
Yeah.
guaranteed money, and the cap
Yeah.
number will be like $100 million, and it's like, oh well, he's never going to actually play on that. They'll either
No.
cut him or extend him or restructure him. But at least they structured it that way so that he and his agent can say that he's the highest paid player in the league in terms of average annual per year value.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want
Yeah.
are you a type of guy, would you want Purdy to play out this last year of his deal? Would you want that, or do you want him to get signed this year?
Yes, I would want him to play out the final year of his deal. I don't like the whole quarterback market. I think
No, I
if
don't.
Patrick Mahomes is making $45 million a year, what the hell are you doing spending $60 million a year on a quarterback who's multiple
Exactly.
tiers below him?
I could see if Purdy had a good year this year. If he had a good year, okay, then sign him. But he just went 6-9. Why you have another year? Just wait. Just wait. I feel like I think the Niners are rushing to it when I think if you put Purdy out free agency, I don't think anyone would I don't think any team is paying him 60 mil.
I don't think any team is paying him $60 million either.
Like
And
if you
if he were
ask
to
any
like
team,
get upset and say I'm demanding a trade, I think there'd be crickets.
I think people would laugh.
Yeah.
They
I
probably
think
can't
the
go-
league looks at him as a creation of this team, the supporting cast in the system. I mean, clearly he's very mobile. He's more elusive than people realize, and that's a great skill. And he's a good passer. He's not a great passer, but
Hmm.
I don't think any team's looking at him like, hey man, that they're botching it with Purdy over there. Bring him over here, and we'll get the most out of him. For better or worse, you could say he's way better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But the fact that Jimmy had the numbers and the record and the playoff wins and then went to the Raiders and flamed out the way he did and now is just not even competing for a backup spot. He's just a backup. That doesn't help Brock Purdy's market.
No, I don't know. I'm kind of tired with this Brock Purdy talk. It's gonna like. Do you think Brock Purdy's gonna hold out? Like that's one thing I'm scared about. I don't think Brock Purdy's like that. But I've heard weird things about his agent. Like let's say if we offer him a crappy, like do you think he'd hold out or like it's August and he's just signing his contract like Ayuk or something? Do you think?
See, I don't think he can. Again, what leverage do you have? You just came off a bad year, so to me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Someone else could look this up. I'm not an expert on the Baltimore Ravens, but I believe something similar happened with Lamar Jackson. This guy won an MVP. Then it was time for him to get an extension. He was coming up on his 5th-year option, and they couldn't come to an agreement with the Ravens. I don't think he held out. He just didn't sign the extension that they offered him, and they thought it was a great offer. He came back, played on his 5th-year option, had a pretty good year, and then got the extension the next year. So if you don't like the Niners offer, fine, bet on yourself. That doesn't make you greedy. It just makes you competitive, but you got to be there at OTAs if you want to be the leader and quarterback of this team. Because if he holds out, I can't remember a quarterback holding out, but any quarterback who does hold out, that team's not winning the Super Bowl. Like you pretty much right. And you can pretty much confirm that. So they got to get a new quarterback, and you run the risk of losing the freaking team. Because honestly, when McCaffrey comes back and he's healthy, a lot of guys could do what you did, dude, and you know it.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I just feel like I feel like this year Purdy it was a prove it year for Purdy because the amount of injuries we've had. People said, "Oh, you need the Avengers around you." This was a year for Purdy to be like, you know what? No, I don't. Like even if we just missed I think if we went like, let's say we just missed the playoffs and we had like a above 500 record, okay, fine. He had a lot of injuries, but this is a year for Purdy to prove that he doesn't need the McCaffreys, the Ayuks, but he does. And then if you sign up to 60 million, we're not going to be able to sign those Ayuks and get the better players and keep the better players because we're going to have no money because all the money is going to be within Brock Purdy. So he has to be smart. I think his agent has to be smart too. So
I think what was scary about Brock, again, I love his mobility, but as a passer this year, he completed 65.9% of his throws. Like that's super average.
And he's really good in the snow. In the rain.
The league average is 65.3 this year. So, I mean, you take away some of these premium weapons, he doesn't look like he's not super accurate. He's a good enough, he's an accurate enough passer. And then his interception percentage by season, 2022, 2.4, 2023, 2.5, 2024, 2.6.
Yeah.
League average is 2.2. This guy throws too many picks. And that's why the Niners don't want to throw that much. Like, they want to throw 27 passes in a game, tops, if they can. And it's like, hold on. That's the guy you're going to give $60 million to the guy that you really don't trust.
Any quarterback deserves 60 mil. I think the only quarterback
I agree.
I think the only quarterback that deserves 60 mil is Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, those guys. They give them whatever they want. Because look, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes could be throwing the ball to Walmart workers and they'd still probably go to the freaking Super Bowl.
Yes.
So
whereas we just saw, I mean, it's not like Purdy was throwing to Walmart workers. He had the best tight end in football. He had a wide receiver in Jawan Jennings who was like top 15 graded by PFF.
Yeah.
And he had a run game like that was averaging, I think it averaged 4.7 yards per carry. So he had some things around him, and he was pretty inconsistent.
You forgot,
and it was always at the end of the game, close game, fourth quarter. Here's the interception. Like,
you forgot about Debo though. You said really good Kittle, and then you forgot about Debo. And Debo, I thought he had a really good.
No, he crossed my mind, and I was like, well, he doesn't count.
But
he's checking. No.
Pearsall though, I love Pearsall. Pearsall in these last.
I like Pearsall too, and I feel like Kyle does this thing to young players where he's like, "Okay, you can play. We'll get you on the field. You can be in the huddle and run routes, but you're really not in the progression, or you're the last guy in the progression." Which is why he went like 4 weeks with no catches, and all of a sudden at the end he had like 14 catches for 200 yards in 2 games. It's like, oh, because you started calling his number.
You actually started using him, and
he actually started using.
He's actually pretty good at football.
Yeah. I like Ricky Pearsall a lot. I didn't like the pick at all. I was like, this isn't a need at all. Now I'm like, oh, this is a huge need.
Yeah.
He interesting player.
Yeah. Next, let's talk about the man that just got signed, Robert Saleh. How do you feel about Robert Saleh, man? I'm so happy. I'm so hyped.
SALEH, just in case he's watching, which I'm sure he is. I want because he would get
actually.
It's EH.
No way.
I swear to God, there might be a soccer player who spells it differently. Yeah,
I swear this whole time I've been spelling it Salah. This whole time. Here, I'm gonna edit that real quick. I swear I've been spelling it like that the whole time.
Robert, it's the kind of thing that if I misspell it, I'll hear about it because I'm a sports writer.
Anyway. Yeah. How do you feel about Robert
Saleh? How do I feel about Robert Saleh?
Yeah.
I feel like it's the best defense. I mean, I can't believe they actually got him. I'm surprised that he didn't get another job as a head coach. He would have been he would have been such a better hire than freaking Brian Schottenheimer. He could anyway. The Niners are pretty lucky to get him back.
Yeah.
But also like it's another example of them kind of trying to reach to the past, almost like the Warriors over here in the Bay. They're trying to get Kevin Durant, and it's like, yeah, man, that would be great. That would be wonderful. But like, what's the next chapter here? But no. Anytime you can get Robert Saleh back, it's great. He's one of the top 5 D coordinators in the league, and he's a legit head coach on a team that needs one. Because say what you want about Kyle Shanahan, to me, he's not a head coach. He's not a head coach. He's an OC, and he gets paid a lot of money for his OC capabilities, but he kind of sneers at all the things a head coach does. Yeah. He calls it like, I think he thinks of it as like cheerleading or just rah-rah BS, but it's not. There's an emotional component to football, and the players feed off it, particularly the defense. And Saleh brings it. He freaking brings it. I feel like the players have been sort of begging for it for a couple of years. Like, hey man, we need this coach on the sideline. Like, we really need a little juice. And
yeah.
Well, I mean, look, when Saleh was on this team, he brought it. Last time I saw him on the Jets, he looked a little catatonic. Now, maybe if I were coaching for the Jets, I wouldn't have a lot of emotion left either. But I'm curious to know like what those 4 years did to him. I don't really know him like I did. We'll see what Robert Saleh 2.0 is like. But I imagine this is a home run addition for the Niners.
The biggest thing for me is I didn't mind Wilks because he showed like a little. I don't know if this is a dumb take. I always say this to people. I love coordinators or coaches that bring passion, and I feel like the Niners need energy like that, which is stupid. I don't like that's. You don't see Spagnuolo giving passion on the sideline. He's just a very good coach. I don't know. I feel like the Niners, they need energy, and Saleh brings that. But like you just said, 4 years with however long he was there with the Jets, you think that kind of changed him a little bit? Because I want that same Saleh, the one that's screaming on the sidelines, hyping up the defense. Because I feel the Niners need that. Which I was on the live with Jesse, and he says it's stupid. Why do they need like a hype man? But I loved Saleh when he did that, when he hyped up the defense. That was one of my favorite things about Saleh.
I mean, I think I just listened to the players. It seems like they fed off of that with DeMeco. I mean, Fred Warner said it a couple of weeks ago. He was doing like a pregame studio, like on Fox before a playoff
And
game.
he was saying that he loves Purdy.
About
Purdy's the
D'Amico.
best. Yeah,
He's talking about D'Amico. Yes, but he was saying,
and he was talking about Purdy. I posted that.
okay,
Part. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. So he was like, I mean, he's the truest leader, one of the truest leaders of men I've ever seen. Who else do you see bringing that kind of energy up and down the sidelines weekly? So, I mean, something that players notice, appreciate, feed off. Like, why do people like when Nick Bosa and Fred Warner independently, George Kittle were like, man, looks like it'd be fun to play for the Lions. Why? Is it because they have really cool schemes? They have great coordinators? No, it's because they have that head coach that some people think doesn't do anything, who kind of like sets the tone for how they do things. And you could say Nick Sirianni's annoying, but he definitely is one of the guys, and he's like emotional. And when a player gets hurt, he's on the field. He brings passion. I mean, Kyle doesn't. Kyle brings his brain, and they pay a lot of money for it, and it's been valuable to this organization, and it's great. But Saleh balances him out, and Saleh's very smart too, if not smarter.
But do you think he'll be the same though? Because like you said on the Jets, he literally just like he did not look happy.
You see it, right? You saw it, right? I was like, who is that? It's almost like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's hard to be the same person, because when he was here, he was on the way up. He was undefeated. Then you go to the Jets and you get crushed like that. How do you not become jaded when so much of it was out of your control?
Yeah.
Now, what was in his control was the offensive coordinators that he brought to New York, to the Jets. But now he doesn't have to worry. He got Kyle Shanahan. I feel like the Niners are much more like I like them better in my mind when I think of them as like Saleh being the head coach and Shanahan being the OC. When I think of them like that, it's like, yeah, that's a good arrangement. That's a good team.
I mean, that wouldn't be bad. I think Saleh too. I think he's going to help out in the draft as well, like a lot. I feel like he's just so smart. So
he's going to pick a good linebacker for sure.
I'm so excited for Saleh. He's sick. Next,
he's going to revamp that front seven for sure.
100%.
All around. Yeah,
100%. Next, has the league caught up to the Shanahan system? You wanted to talk about this? Seems like
I think it's interesting because like the Niners are very adamant about their schemes. Like they want the Pete Carroll, Robert Saleh scheme on defense, no matter who the coordinator is, and they're so proud of Kyle's scheme because it's been proliferated around the league, and so many teams run it, and it's been so successful. I think in 2016. Defenses didn't know what to do with it. 2019, when they had Jimmy and Mostert and Debo, like they were really made defenses look stupid. What they did to the Packers in the NFC Championship game, just running the ball every time. I mean, you could say clearly that their scheme was a step ahead of what defenses were doing. Now, I mean, I think you started to see the cracks in the Super Bowl last year. Like, if you just get this scheme into third down, all of a sudden they can't pick up a blitz. Like, that's a problem. And then it's like, okay, well, that the Shanahan McVay scheme is like a run first scheme. They want to run the ball, but they don't really have like a quarterback running element. And now there's all these offenses around the league that have that. There's like a two-back attack, and like they can always leverage it. Like they can have the quarterback be a rushing threat on 3rd and 8 because they're going to go for it on 4th and 2, but you don't go for it on 4th. Like this whole scheme is very conservative in their game management. Like they're not really a big go for it on 4th down team to begin with. So I think it's almost like they were ahead of the curve, but now it's almost like playing with one arm behind your back. Like, here's another thing. Yeah, you want to run the ball, but they're so adamant about getting explosives in the passing game. So it's handoff, play action, throw 15 yards over the middle. So that's great, but you get so many turnovers. And you're a run first team, and your passing game is like, you get some explosives, but it seems like you lose the game more often than you win it with your passing game, unless you have Matthew Stafford, which the Niners never do. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you don't really trust your quarterback. Your passing game's kind of reckless. Your offensive line isn't good. You can't pick up a blitz. You're not going to go for it on 4th down. Your running game can be dominant, but like it's going to be hard to be as dominant as like the Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley duo. You know what I mean? It just feels like they need to pivot and evolve. And you look at Green Bay, they all of a sudden brought in Malik Willis. Maybe LaFleur can sort of adapt that McVay Shanahan system to the things that Washington and Philly and Kansas City are doing, because they kind of have to. And if they don't, I think they're going to get passed up. There's way too many. Look, if the best passing quarterback in the league, Mahomes, is a good runner,
Yeah.
then I think every team needs a quarterback who's a better runner than Mahomes. You can't compete with that with Kirk Cousins doing bootlegs and running for 50 yards a year. You know what I
Would
mean? You
want
can't. That's old
would you
school.
want would you want Justin Fields as our backup? I've heard a lot of
Yes.
people they'd want him as our backup. So then for plays that maybe it's a 4th and 2, we bring him in and he can run the ball.
Yes.
I would like that. I would like that. And
Justin Fields, dude, I would even be interested in Trey Lance. Now, the thing with Justin Fields is that he's demonstrably faster
yeah,
than Trey Lance, like a better runner. I
Mm.
think he's one of the better ball carriers in the league. And I think if you look at his passing, it's gotten more and more efficient every year.
Mhm.
And I think but again, like, can Kyle really adjust his system to help a quarterback like that flourish? We saw that LaFleur can.
Yeah.
And I think what's so cool about it is like they won games with Willis throwing 14 passes. Yeah, man, you want to run the ball. You just bring in a quarterback who is a running threat, who can run 6 times a game and complete 11 of 14 passes, 10 of 14 passes. I mean, that's definitely a winning strategy. I think the Niners could have done that with Trey Lance. And just because it didn't work out with him, don't be afraid of trying it with someone else, because I think that's clearly where the league is going.
Like you talk about, has Lee caught up to Shanahan's system? And well, this is kind of a generic answer, but yeah, he's been coaching the team for 9 some years and hasn't really changed anything.
I mean, McVay's offense isn't that great anymore. McDaniel's offense isn't that great anymore. Bobby Slowick just got fired.
Like, it's kind of it's been 9 years.
The two offenses in the Super Bowl are both RPO offenses. Washington's an RPO offense.
I think Shanahan's just got to change it up a little bit. It's not like he's just stop doing the same thing. Stop using Debo. All this, like, you got to change it up a little bit. It's not 2020 anymore. We're in 2025 now. Like, you got to start changing it up a little bit instead of doing the same things that you always do. The jet sweeps to Debo. I am literally all the way in Canada, and I could tell what play Shanahan's doing right away. Oh, jet sweep to Debo. Okay, boom. It's like I'm on a couch in Canada, how can I tell? Like, so no, I do think
it just seems to me like if you are a run first system and you want to, I mean, that's what the Shanahan system is. It's a run first system. It's the running section of the playbook is bigger and more complex than the passing section. If that's what you want to do, then your quarterback should probably be pretty involved, and not just as a scrambler. You should have a couple of play calls a game, 2, maybe 3, where he runs. And I'm not saying running the defense, but like, look at, dude, Jaden Daniels is like 6'3", 140 pounds. I mean, he's really skinny. He looks like he could break, and they run him, and they run him out of bounds. They protect him. I mean, there are ways to do it. And I think Purdy's quick enough that they could be leveraging that too. So I'd like to see Shanahan do it with Purdy. Don't turn him into Kirk Cousins. He's not Peyton Manning. Those days are over, man. You got to use him more like Jaden Daniels.
Because Purdy's fast, man. I remember I was talking to a Cowboys fan, and he's like, "Oh, Purdy has no legs," and then no, Purdy's actually pretty fast.
I mean, he's more of a running threat than Jordan Love.
Exactly. I think he's faster than Jordan Love. So why don't we use his legs more? Like, I feel like it's just like stand in the pocket.
It's a schematic limitation. It's a philosophical limitation. And the thing that gives me hope is that maybe McVay and Shanahan look at LaFleur. They're all friends, and they watch what he did with Willis in the offseason. They say, "Damn, that worked. We can incorporate something like that too." That's how you do it. Thank you, Mike. Matt, not Mike.
So I don't know. I mean, bringing back Trey Lance though, Trey Lance, what a guy! What a great.
What's gonna happen to him, man?
I don't know.
What's gonna happen to Trey?
He fell off.
The thing with Trey is he just may not be accurate enough. Like, even if you put him in an RPO system and said like just
play. Did you see that one where he rolled out to the left?
Yeah.
He had a guy wide open. I could have made that throw wide open, and it was short.
But I feel like that's the kind of throw that he can make, and then when he misses that, it's like, oh, so you're in your head. But how could you not be, right? I mean, you never get an opportunity. Everyone's called you a bust. So much pressure on you. Like, I can see having the yips a little bit. I mean, look at Jake Moody.
It's
mental. It's a lot of pressure.
Got to bring him back. He's awesome.
Love him. He's so good. I heard he's still on the team. Shanahan needs to pivot. He needs to do something a little different. And with this quarterback he has in Brock, he's more mobile than Shanahan realizes. When they draft him, he compared him to Nick Mullins. You have a mobile quarterback.
Stop playing him like Kirk Cousins. Just
stop. Exactly, dude.
Sit in the pocket. When the pocket collapses, then roll out. No, run.
He throws too many picks he's kind of overrated as a passer. If he has a bunch of all pros around him and Christian McCaffrey to dump it off to, nice. But even then, he throws too many picks. Like, you need to embrace the running game with Brock Purdy, because as a pure passer, You can't. He's 8-11 career when he throws at least 30 passes in a game. He's going to lose more than he wins if it's a Brock Purdy throwing game. Just the way it is.
Yeah. What do the 49ers need to do to become Super Bowl contenders again? I have an easy answer, but I feel like this answer is like it's an easy answer.
I mean, to me, if it's like, well, they got to draft in the trenches and they got to, it's like, yeah. But if that's the route, then you're 2 years away or 3. I mean, you got to like hit on all your first, second, third round picks. They all need to be in the trenches. I mean, the Niners have never been that kind of team. To me, I don't know that there is one necessary thing that they can do, but it seems like if they were to actually trade for Myles Garrett, I would like their chances in the NFC West. I mean, if they had Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa on the same defense for a year, they could probably find a couple defensive tackle run stuffers. Dude. Maybe that would be interesting to me, because if they don't get Myles Garrett and he goes to Washington, then you can't tell me that there's a move the Niners can make to really bridge the gap between those teams and Philly, let alone freaking LA and the Arizona next year. I mean, look, yes, they need to draft well. Kyle would play no rookies if he had it his way. So I think they got to do something in free agency. And last year they did a whole bunch of nothing.
I do agree with you there. I just also feel, you're not going to like this, man. We had a lot of injuries this year.
No, it's true.
Like we had a lot.
I don't think they can be like, hey man, let's just re-sign Greenlaw, get healthy, and boom, we'll be the best team in the NFC. Like, I don't know, man. Philly's way better than that now. And Washington has hella cap space. Like, there's going to be teams making big moves. The Rams could go get T. Higgins. What are you going to do? It can't just be re-sign Greenlaw.
Oh, 49ers. Let's get T. Higgins. You see that rumor? Get T. Higgins.
I can see Kyle wanting to do that.
But why?
Because he's obsessed with wide receivers.
Yeah. I would love Myles Garrett though, man. Myles Garrett on this team. But the question is, what would we give up? I don't know. I made like a kind of like a mock trade. Let's say you're the Browns GM, okay? You're the Browns GM. I'm offering you this. Our 11th overall pick and our 2 third-round picks. Are you accepting that deal?
Yes.
You are.
But what if the Browns were like, you know what? But no, they wouldn't want Bosa, right? Like, what do they need Bosa for? They suck. They're not going anywhere.
No. Bosa,
they need to start over.
Bosa on their team would not change a thing.
They wouldn't do anything. So, like, you couldn't even trade Bosa for him. No, yeah, I would do that. I would.
You would.
Even though it's like, well, you're trading 3 picks for one guy who's not going to make you. I mean, what is the point of having this old team? They're like one of the oldest teams in the league. You keep hanging on to the core because you think it's special. And you just said there were a lot of injuries. All right, man. So get healthy, bring back this old team, and add one more all-pro to it and see if you got it. I mean, I feel like that's what the Rams did. They had a very old team. They finally went all in 2021, won the Super Bowl, and like, okay, we're old as hell now. We're gonna suck for a year, but we're gonna rebuild, and then we'll be young. And that's what they're doing. I think that the Niners eventually, before you start the rebuild, which is coming pretty soon, like, why don't you just like win the Super Bowl one freaking time? Is that so much to ask for, man?
It's not. I mean, I'm 0 for 3 in my lifetime.
And the last time they won a Super Bowl, they went and got Dion, and it was just for 1 year. Like, they were not freaking messing around, and they weren't like, well, it's not going to count if we go out and get players who weren't part of our culture. Like, who cares? Ring forever. Kiss it. Look at it. You want to see it?
Like, if I was Lynch, Myles Garrett's the only priority I'm looking at this offseason, man, because he would change our team. He would literally change our defense. If you have Nick Bosa and Myles Garrett coming, like, that's.
I mean, he's arguably the best player in football, right? Like, he would, and that's what Trent was for a while.
Yes, he literally he won Defensive Player of the Year last year. If we have him and Bosa, that's unfair. That's literally an all-star team. That's not even fair. Not even fair.
And I mean, I wouldn't trade 4 first-round picks for him, or maybe even 3. But if it's 1 and a couple of day 2 picks, I think I could swing it for the best player in the league. Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Do it.
He's not a one-trick pony. He's not just a pass rusher. He's not.
He's the best player in the league. He had 14 sacks this year.
And he's good against the run.
Exactly. He would be absolutely amazing. But now, since we're talking about Myles Garrett, free agents 49ers should sign. Who do you want the Niners to sign? I have 2 guys. I don't know if you want me to go first. I'll go first.
You go first.
First,
I got to get out of Myles Garrett mode.
First guy, DJ Jones. Do I think we'll get him? No.
I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, go ahead. I was talking over you. Go ahead.
I think he's going to be too expensive. That's a question for you. I think he's going to be too expensive, no?
I can see that. I mean, I just feel like the theme of the offseason has been bringing back the crew, everyone who was on the team 4 or 5 years ago. Come on
Yeah.
back. But yeah, if they can afford him, they think he fits the culture, he fits the scheme. He's been in the wide nine. It's a good fit. They need run defense. Yeah. But if he's going to get like a 2-3 year deal again, they probably can't. They won't. And they would
No.
probably think that, well, we drafted him in round 6. We could do it again. That being said, they suck at drafting defensive line.
They do.
Just wanted to whisper that. Really bad at it.
Next, Falcons center Drew Dahlman. You know who that is?
Mhm.
I would love Drew Dahlman.
Sure.
Like we need to rebuild our left guard, center, right tackle. We
Mhm.
know Shanahan's. He's spent money in the past on centers. Alex Mack. He's done it before, so why not do it with Drew Dahlman? Like Drew Dahlman right here, PFF grade of 78.8, fourth among centers. Run blocking, he's fifth. Pass blocking, he's 22nd, and he only gave up 10 pressures. So, and I think he'd be a scheme fit. So, I would like Drew Dahlman.
I think that's a great one. I mean, enough with the Jake Brendel experiment. He's not good. Basically, what the Niners say is like, hey, he's a starting center. Yeah, like the worst one.
I don't think he would start on a lot of teams. I think
no, he wouldn't.
On the Niners.
The Niners have 2 guys on their offensive line who wouldn't start for pretty much any other team. Brendel and McKivitz.
100%.
You know, like enough of that. Especially if you're going to invest, if you're really going to pay Brock Purdy, you can't have a $60 million a year quarterback behind that offensive line. You have to have legit starters protecting your investment. Duh. Yeah. So, yeah, Dahlman's a good one, man. I don't think they can sign an offensive tackle. They'd have to actually go out and draft one. They could sign a guard.
They could.
They could sign Trey Smith from Kansas City. He's going to be very expensive, though. I would like them to sign a safety because I feel like they're going to spend most of their draft capital on the front 7.
Yeah.
And they need a guy. Justin Reed.
That's good.
Eric Reed's little brother. I mean, it's been a key part of Spags' defense, man. Key part.
And I do think we need a safety to pair up because I think Hufanga will leave this offseason. Do you want Hufanga back? I don't know.
I like Hufanga. I think he's a legit playmaker when healthy, but he's hurt a lot. And he's 20. He's like 25. I think he's going to get a multi-year deal probably. And I don't think the Niners, again, I don't think they can afford it.
And I do think we need a safety because I don't trust Jair Brown. I do not trust that guy. He came into the league last year or the year before, and I was like, wow, this guy's actually pretty good. And then this year, it just was like this, and then it went like this.
I don't know. I think that kind of maybe speaks to the importance of a coach. Steve Wilks handpicked that guy. Yeah. And he did pretty well as a rookie when he's filling in under Wilks. Then Wilks is gone. You're bringing someone else. I don't know what the relationship was like or what happened. I'm not trying to take. I mean, maybe Jair Brown wasn't prepared and didn't. It was his fault, but I can't help but wonder if there's something linked. And also, Wilks might want some of these DBs back. I wouldn't be surprised if Charvarius Ward went to the Jets to link up with Steve Wilks again.
The Jets.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would like Charvarius Ward back. It's just he's too expensive, and I think Bernardo and Lenoir, those guys will be good. I do think we need some depth in the cornerback position.
I don't think they're going to spend on two corners at a time, right? I don't think they ever have.
No.
They spent on Sherman. They spent on Ward. They spent on Lenoir now. I think
I just do think we need a backup, because we have Bernardo and Lenoir. I think who's good after that?
They got to give a look at Luter. I mean, they never gave Samuel Womack a real chance. He cut him. He
actually did good on the Colts. He actually did not bad on the Colts.
What's the point of drafting these cornerbacks in round 5 if you're never going to put them on the field? So I'd like to see Luter get a shot.
We almost didn't play Ronaldo Green this season.
Yep. I'd like to see Luter and then keep drafting the position. You've had success drafting that position in round 5. So that's what I would do. Womack, Lenoir.
I don't know. We'll see. Next, NFL draft. This is my favorite talk. NFL draft, so far away. Who do you want the Niners to draft? What position do you want the Niners to? I have three players that I want. I have one that's realistic, one that's unrealistic, and then one that's realistic. I
want to hear yours. You go first again because you're excited.
Will Campbell, LSU.
Okay.
That's that.
What do you like about him? What do you like about him?
First of all, I love his. Did you see the interview he did?
Yes.
Love that about him. Love that. Right when I saw that, I was like, this guy seems like
his general attitude. Okay. Yes, I like that too.
I like that about him. Very good. He's what you want. I think him and Kelvin Banks are kind of the same, but Kelvin Banks just gets injured. Because I like Texas. I just feel like Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, kind of the same player, kind of the same offensive line. I feel both of them are left tackles, if I'm not mistaken. It's just, do we want like we don't really need a left tackle, but would these guys play guard?
I think, yeah. I mean, that's you could put him at right tackle, you could put him at left guard. To me, like I, I would be inclined to take an offensive lineman with the 11th
Yeah.
pick. And I'm not trying to say like do what they did in 2018 and take Mike McGlinchey over Derwin James and Minkah Fitzpatrick because you need not like don't do that.
Yeah.
But you got to look really hard at these guys because you haven't drafted an offensive tackle in 4 years. McKivitz will be a free agent next year, and Trent Williams is turning 37 in July and just missed 7 games with an ankle bruise, and he's injured his ankle like every year on the Niners, almost. So, and freaking Jalen Moore's a free agent.
Yeah. I think for Will Campbell, like 6'6", 323. He plays with excellent balance. He's like 323, 6'6". Sometimes I don't realize how big and tall these offensive linemen are. 6'6", 323. This guy's huge. He's literally huge.
Huge. Those are the kind of offensive linemen the Eagles have. Big dudes.
He's very fast as well. I remember I was watching like a highlight reel on him. He's very fast. Can block very well. I just think but the difference between him and Kelvin Banks are kind of the same players, but Kelvin Banks just gets injured a lot. Like his knee really screws him up a lot. Like when I used to watch Texas games, I think almost every game it'd be, oh, someone's laying down on the field. Who was it? Kelvin Banks. But then he would walk off the field. I think those two I really like. And then this is unrealistic, but Abdul Carter.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I mean, that's not gonna happen. But the way I look at it with the offensive line is like, look, where the Niners are picking. I mean, Tristan Wirfs was available there a few years ago. Rashawn Slater was available there a few years ago. Slater was the 14th pick. I think Wirfs was like the third. I think they both were 13th picks. Slater and Wirfs. Yeah, but you got to be prepared to take someone like that. And I don't know who it is. I'm going to the combine. We'll see how long their arms are. We got to check their length. Pause.
That's what. That's another thing with Will Campbell. His arm length. That's what people are kind of scared about. Which it's like, I don't, man.
But you can't just take a guy off your board because he has 33-inch arms. Like again, Slater has 33-inch arms. Listen, he's really freaking good.
If he blocks well, who cares?
If he blocks well, who cares? And what I like about I haven't watched as much Will Campbell. I need to because what I've seen is it doesn't seem like he's going to be available at 11. It looks like he's like a top 10 pick, but I will. That's no excuse for me not to do my homework. I have watched a lot of Kelvin Banks, and this is what I'll say about him. Elite run blocker, no matter what position you put him at, left tackle, right tackle, guard, elite run blocker. And not just like right in front of him, screens, second level, super fast. I mean, he looks real. Maybe I don't know, he's going to run on the 40, but he looks really quick. He's got great agility. He doesn't miss his blocks in the second level. No. He's got great balance. He's got a good.
I think that's why the Texas Longhorns. Sorry to cut you off. I think that's why the Texas Longhorns had such a good run game. Like CJ Baxter, their starting running back, was out for the year. Then Jaden Blue went out, and then Wisner went in, and no one thought Wisner was going to be good. But because you have a guy like Kelvin Banks and how good he is at run blocking, that's why Wisner was having a good year because he would just run left all the time. Banks, boom, like it worked every single time.
Like if you put him at right tackle and got McKivitz out of there, and I would think he'd be an elite run blocker at right tackle. And then in pass protection, you're thinking, is he Mike McGlinchey, who was just abysmal in pass protection? And why was McGlinchey so bad? Well, one, he was not really.
He'd get tossed.
He didn't really have like the lateral agility or quickness to keep up with edge around the speed, speed around the edge. So he'd be like lunging to get out there. And then he was like 6'8", 290, high cut, and he'd be off balance and get tossed around. We saw it all the time.
Micah Parsons did that to him. Didn't Micah Parsons let him pick him
up?
A
lot of guys that did it to him, man.
Yeah.
So that's not Banks. Banks is low cut. He is very quick out of his stance. He can handle speed around the edge. He's just, the issue with him is, can he handle like length? Pause. And I guess we'll have to see. I mean, he's not a top 10 pick for a reason, but I think as a right tackle, like, he'll be much better as a run blocker than a pass protector, but I also think he'll be a much better pass protector than McGlinchey ever was. So I think he's worth it at 11. Wait. And there might be someone better than him too. Armand Membu. I just wouldn't take the dude from Ohio State with the torn ACL.
Simmons?
Just because he has a torn ACL, man. I wouldn't do it. Not at 11.
No.
Medical red flag at 11. You can't miss.
No, you can't.
Kinlaw had a knee.
Yeah, and then
I wouldn't do it.
Your best friend Kinlaw. Great guy. Is there one player like because I had Abdul Carter, which is not gonna happen. Is there one player?
What
like
about Genty, dude? What about Ashton Genty? So here's the thing. He's like the highest graded player in the draft, according to NFL.com. He's kind of like McCaffrey in the sense that he just had one of these crazy seasons of like 1,500 rushing yards and 500 receiving yards.
Yep.
He looks kind of special.
I don't want Genty, but I do want Cam Scatterboo. That's who I want. I feel we don't need a guy like Ashton Genty. I love Cam Scatterboo. He had 1,700 yards this year. He's an absolute dog. You could replace him with maybe Juszczyk. Maybe replace Juszczyk with Cam Scatterboo.
See, I don't think they're going to get Genty. I like Genty. I don't think they're going to pass on him. But I think Kyle will not. If Scatterboo's available when the Niners pick in round 3, Kyle won't. He's going to make the call, make it happen.
I want Scatterboo, man. He's sick. He can.
I like him too.
He can. He's a big big boy. Pause. He's a big boy. He's hard to take down. he can throw the ball. He can. Okay. Did you see that one? Did you see that one?
See, that's why I like him too. Is if he's going to replace Juszczyk, there's so much more he can do.
Yes, he would actually do more than Juszczyk. And I got hate. I posted a clip on Instagram, Grant, and it got so much hate because I was like, "Oh, Juszczyk." I was like, "Yeah, I don't think the Niners should resign. I think the Niners should let Juszczyk go." And everyone's like, "Oh, but it's Juice. He does so much for this team." And I'm like,
"Let's count what Juszczyk does for the team." All right, so he goes in motion.
He blocks.
He blocks. And he catches the occasional pass. He's not a rushing threat. No. They sometimes give him the ball on short yardage, and he's not good. He runs upright. He fumbled this year. So he's really like a two-pronged attack, blocking and the occasional catch, maybe one a game. Then you got Scatterboo. He's a better receiver than Juszczyk. Way better. He's an actual rushing threat, unlike Juszczyk. Not even comparable. And he's not as good of a blocker as Juszczyk yet, but give him a year or two.
Give him time. And he can throw the ball. You can do trick plays with him.
And he can throw. Like, remember when they signed Juszczyk, they called him an offensive weapon? No. Scatterboo's an offensive weapon.
Yes. And I think it's time to, man, I listen, and I know that Niners fans, they love Juszczyk, but the guy, he doesn't do anything. He just blocks. We're paying a guy to block, and I understand that. Yeah, but like, we never run with Juszczyk. And this year, in that Bills game, we never ran with Juszczyk. We go all the way down to like the 1 yard line or whatever it was. We run with Juszczyk, and what does he do? Fumbles the ball.
And he's almost 34. That's like, come on.
It's time. Like,
Tom Rathman wasn't on the Niners when he was 34. Like, enough.
But do you think Cam Scatterboo can punt as well as Juszczyk? Do you see Juszczyk in the Pro Bowl?
Maybe Juszczyk would actually be worth his contract if they let him have some special teams.
Imagine Juszczyk replaces Wishnowsky.
Where the hell was Juszczyk when Jake Moody was missing field goals, man? Step up.
Put him in there. Come on.
Hey, why did the Niners have to go sign Pat O'Connell when you were just hiding this incredible talent the whole time?
Exactly. Is it what? So do you want the Niners to draft? It's the last question. Do you want the Niners to draft an O-line or edge or D-line? Like what? You're John Lynch right now. Grant Cohn. Actually, you know what? No. Grant Cohn signs GM for the 49ers. You get to pick 11. Who are you picking? Like,
okay. It's a good question. So here's how I would approach it. If the grades were equal or somewhat similar on an offensive tackle, DN, D tackle, the tie would go to the offensive tackle to me. Because to me, 100%. Like the Niners said last year, why didn't they take an offensive tackle last year? Well, we're picking 31st, and most of the starting offensive tackles are gone. Sure, agree. Yep, agree. Okay, well, now you're picking 11th. So if you may not be picking this high for a while, you need an offensive tackle now. You need one now. You put yourself in this situation, you have to draft for need. But a big reason that the Niners miss so much in round 1 under Kyle and John is they draft for need, and they don't take the best player available. So it's like if there's someone who just happens to fall to 11 that you didn't expect, Abdul Carter, then he made the pick for you. Nothing to think about.
He's not falling there
though. For a situation like that where there's someone that is just clearly head and shoulders better than everyone else that you have as like a future Hall of Famer or perennial Pro Bowler who isn't necessarily at a position in need, then you either have to take him or you trade down and get a haul. That's what they got to do. I don't know who that player could be.
There's one guy from Ole Miss, D tackle.
Walter Nolan.
That's a guy.
It's a guy.
He looks like a dog.
It's a guy. It's a guy.
Fat. Like there was videos of him like block. Like he looks like a dog. I would like him.
He looks so good. I'm almost don't expect him to be there at 11. I mean, his stock seems to be skyrocketing.
skyrocketing. Like
Skyrocketing.
it
Just
seems,
destroyed the Senior Bowl.
yeah.
If he goes and runs like a 4.9 at the
Oh my
combine,
God.
it's over.
He's going top 10.
Yeah.
Top 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about Ashton Genty. I don't want Ashton Genty.
Lance Zierlein of NFL.com, their lead analyst. I mean, not that he's infallible. His NFL comp form. LaDainian Tomlinson. Do you even know? Did you watch LaDainian? Are you too young to experience prime LT? You don't even know LaDainian Tomlinson.
When did he play?
When did he play? Oh my God. How old are you?
19.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So he was like the offensive player of the year in 2007.
Who did he play for?
The Chargers when they were in San Diego. He was so good. I think he scored 30 touchdowns one year. He was so good.
Yeah, I was 2007. I was 2 years old.
That's so fair. Okay, I'll let you slide this time.
Yeah,
2007, he scored 31 touchdowns, man. And he was the kind of guy where he would throw, like, he had games where he would run for a touchdown, catch a touchdown pass and throw a touchdown. He was tight, dude. He was so
There's
good.
One other player that I forgot to talk about. Matt Mayoko. I think that's how you say his name, right?
Yes. Yes.
You see that? He said
yes, Tyler
Warren. Would you want Tyler Warren? Because man, listen,
Jesse had an interesting take. He thinks Colston Loveland's just straight up better than Tyler Warren.
Here's the guy from Bowling Green.
No, he's from Michigan.
Michigan.
He's
the guy with the tattoos. Yeah, I know that.
Yep. So here's the thing, though. Like, to me, if you can get an elite tight end, if you think you can find an elite tight end, you almost want. I mean, those are almost harder to find than elite quarterbacks, and they're highly correlated with dynasties. I mean, Gronkowski, Kelsey. And they last like 15 years. Well,
and when's the last time we had an actual good tight end except for Kittle? Like, we drafted what was it? Cameron Latu. You remember that? You know who that is?
He was so bad.
He stunk. We drafted.
Hey man, if the best player available is a tight end, do it, dude. Do it. You don't want to pass on some generational tight end because you needed a D tackle. You know what I mean? You can't. But I don't know if Tyler Warren's like George Kittle. He might not be. No.
I think for the Niners, if it's at the 11th pick and we can draft Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks, you do it. If those two guys are gone, you draft best available player.
What's intriguing to me, Daniel Jeremiah, another guy who, like, look, I mean, he's not infallible, but he's one of the lead draft guys at NFL.com. He came out with his top 50 like a week ago. Mm-hmm. And number one dude, Ashton Genty, Tyler Warren's like 5. And I think Colston Loveland's like 7. So there is a world where on the board, best players available are a running back and 2 tight ends, and the Niners are like, damn, what do we do? It's an interesting spot.
It is. But that'll do it for today. My first live. I don't know how many people came through. Grant, appreciate you for doing this, man.
Millions and millions. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
Yeah. If you guys go, I don't know why I'm even plugging your channel. If everyone came through this live, they know who you are. They know who you are, Grant. They know who you are.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Make sure you if you guys
don't know who this is,
if you guys found Madge through me, make sure you subscribe to Madge's channel right now.
You guys, who is this? I don't even know who this guy is. Random guy. Grant Cohn. I don't even know.
You're right.
But no, make sure you guys go subscribe to Grant. He's the GOAT. Greatest 49ers content creator. I'll give you.
Thank you.
You are.
I'll take it.
You are. But yeah, make sure you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'm out, man. Peace.